So I picked up this old drill press, and man, what a beaut. I usually go for hand crank drill presses, like the old style post drills, and I restored some of them and they are a lot of fun, but this was just too good to pass up. So it's made by Champion Blower and Forge Company, which they made a ton of post drills too. This is like from the 30s, so definitely one of the older ones as far as electric drill presses. It's neat because the motor sits down below and it would have a flat belt that would come over, and so this would be 2-speed. The motor might have had like a 2-step pulley on it. It's really complete except for the motor. It didn't come with the original. A guy threw in an old motor, and it's this one on the right here, and it's, boy, is it in rough condition. So, oh boy, it's heavy. It's definitely neat. It's got an interesting case. I think if I strip it all down and took it all apart, it's probably salvageable. Usually these old motors, it's amazing how robust they work, and you can clean them up and they will work again. So I might mess with that. I've got some other old vintage motors, really old stuff that would work really good on this too. I was lucky because this did come with the original pulley, or a similar, if this isn't the original, it's very much like the original. So, I don't know. Undecided on the motor, but definitely the drill press is going to be great. Okay, so I spent a little time. I got this little Century motor, and it came with, I knew it wasn't the original motor. I cleaned it up. I didn't film all that because it just consists of, I disassembled it, degreased it. Man, it was so filthy. Got it all put back together. It does run. Man, it does not run good. The brushes are shot. It takes 4 brushes in the back that are kind of unique, and I haven't found a replacement. I don't know if you can even get a replacement. So, I don't think this is the right one. I had this old Westinghouse motor. This one, the bolt flange didn't match up. This one, the holes actually line up with the original motor, and the spacing is correct. It's kind of where I want it to be for the belt. And then additionally, the rotation is going the right direction. Sometimes when you put an old motor on, the rotation is going the wrong way, and you have to crack it open and reverse some stuff, and I don't have to do that. So, I mean, for all I know, this could have been the motor that was on here when this thing was new. I don't know. It's a Westinghouse. That's a Century. This is, it's only 1/6 of a horsepower. That is only 1/6 horsepower. It's the same size. Honestly, it's probably kind of underpowered for a drill press, but something like this is mainly just for display anyway. But I do want it to work. So, anyway, I'm sure glad I hung on to that motor. That was perfect. Sometimes you get lucky. So, anyway, I think we're ready to move on with some disassembly and a little bit of work on the rest of it. Okay, so we got everything stripped down, ready for derusting and cleaning. It was really straightforward the way it all came apart. I went ahead and I used the chemical stripper, and I mean, it got a lot off it. It got it kind of down to bare metal in places, and other places there's still something left, and the casting's just so rough on this stuff. And some of this, I don't know if it's paint or if it's material left from when they made it or what. It's really hard. Anyway, I'm going to strip it down as much as I can. I'll probably wire wheel it and do a little sanding on it and see if we can get it a little smoother. After a lot of sanding and grinding, I'm going to call it good for now. It's never going to be perfect. But anyway, I'll probably spray it with a really high build primer, and then that'll fill some of these gaps and divots and things like that. That'll get it quite a bit smoother. But I've got these small little pulleys, and they're kind of rusty. I think stuff like this is easiest to clean up. I just put it on the lathe and spin it, and then I can kind of polish it up, and it goes a lot faster, and it tends to give it a really nice uniform appearance. So I think that's what I'm going to do with these guys. I went ahead and shot a coat of primer on it, and then it kind of exposed, you know, how rough the surface was. So I used this stuff, which is just it's a glazing and spot putty. It's good for filling in really small scratches. You can do that with a sandable primer, but this stuff can go a little thicker. So I skim coated the whole thing with that, and then just sanded on it for a little while. So anyway, it's pretty smooth. I'm going to paint it gloss black so every little scratch and imperfection will show up. So anyway, I'm going to shoot another coat of primer on it and perhaps a little wet sanding, then we'll be ready for paint. So this is the table off the drill press, and it had just a million places where they'd hit it with drill bits, and it was just so scarred up. You know, I thought if I just take a couple passes on the lathe, it'll clean it up some, and then I can do some sanding, get it a little shinier. I've already taken a few passes, and it's got 90% of all those little drill holes out, but I'll take one more pass, and then we'll do some sanding. Well, the lighting out here isn't great, but you can see that just made that so much nicer. It's still got a few little pits and things, but to turn them out, there wouldn't be much left of it. So I think we'll call that good. I'm just going to take a piece of sandpaper and progressively sand that with my little orbital sander, and we'll see how smooth we can get it. Okay, so the on-off switch is supposed to go right there, but when I got this, it was gone. There was nothing there in the hole. But I was able to find, I wanted this to be made out of brass, so I had this old, it's just an old door handle switch plate, so it was real thin, but it was real brass. So I cut a piece out of that and mounted this switch. So it's going to go right there, and it'll look real nice. So that's the plan. Okay, so we're all wired up. I've got some of this old cloth wrapped wire that looks really nice on projects like these. It's old, but it's in really nice shape. Okay, well today I got my leather belting in the mail, and that's about the only thing we really have left to do. So, got the belt dyed, so now it's black. I think it looks a little nicer. I oiled it with neat's foot oil to kind of soften it up again. Seemed to do a good job. So, the only thing I have left to do now is I'm going to turn a wooden handle on my lathe, and then I think it's going to be all finished up. Alright, that's the handle I came up with. Turned it out of a piece of ash, and it turned out pretty nice. It fit pretty snugly, so I just glued it on with just a little bit of cement. I think it will do a nice job. Gives you something to hold on to. Okay, so I think it's all done. Everything came together, I think, good. I'm happy with how it turned out. Functionally, it's good. So, I enjoyed it. I don't know too much about it. I tried to do a little bit of searching online, and there's information about the company, but I didn't find much specific to this drill press. So, if anyone knows anything more about a manufacture date or more of a history on it, I'd love to know. Otherwise, thanks for watching.